Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 20 of our 100 Day Challenge. I promised you a comments episode, and here it is. But it's going to be a little different than you expect, and I'll tell you why at the end. Because here's the thing a lot of these week's pushbacks came from the same few voices saying the same few things, and I could spend 20 minutes going back and forth, but there's no use beating a dead horse. So we are doing this instead. I'm going to hand you every point. The critics are actually right, and then I'm going to plant my flag on the parts where they are wrong. And then we move on. Let me start by giving ground because a man who can't concede a fair point has no business asking you to trust the rest. So, is a toxic version real? Yes, a foreigner treated as nothing but a wallet, never as family, always the checkbook. That man is being used. That is real and it's common. And from the very start of this series, I've already warned you about that in more ways than one. Next, is utang na loob used to guilt trip a hard-working son or daughter into carrying lazy relatives? Yes, that happens, and I've watched it happen, but there are also many families that don't do that, the ones not in survival mode. Next, and this term that keeps coming up, Stockholm Syndrome. It isn't a clinical diagnosis, but I concede that based on how you described it in the comments, the more accurate words instead are parentification, where a child is forced to become the parent, and filial guilt. That's real, and it's a wound, and I already said it's toxic. Okay, next one. And the tone in one of my recent episodes, a viewer said he sensed some irritability and I sounded negative and a little know-it-all. And you know what? That's a fair observation. 18 days of saying the same thing gently will do that. That's mine to manage, not yours to absorb. So point taken. There, that's four concessions in under 2 minutes. Now that I've admitted what's true, let me now plant the flag on what they're getting wrong. The biggest mistake in my comment section is this taking a real ugly pattern and blaming it on the character of a people. One gentleman told me, I don't know the West, that where he lives, neighbors still help each other, family still talks. And here's the beautiful part. He thinks he's refuting me. He's actually proving me because I never said the West versus the Philippines. I said the I versus the we, and it runs on a spectrum. The most family bound corners of the West, Italy, Greece, Cyprus, sit almost down at our loneliness and suicide numbers, whereas the individualist North sits at the top. So the man describing coffee with his neighbors isn't my exception, he's my evidence. He's living in a we. And when another one says our whole system keeps everyone poor forever, like communism, he's feeling something true and blaming the wrong thing. The rungs on the ladder are missing. He's right about that, but it isn't Lola or Lolo at the dinner table sewing them off. It's a system the Spanish built 330 plus years building, one where the friars fought to keep the Indio uneducated because they understood an educated native produces exactly one thing, a revolutionary. And history proved them right. Rizal, the Ilustrados, the educated ones lit the fuse. So that obedience, that stay small, don't rock the boat instinct, it wasn't a flaw in my people's character. It was engineered into them over 3 centuries. You cannot undo 330 years of that in one lifetime, no matter how loudly a man complains about it in my comment section. The family isn't the machine that keeps people down. The family is who you cling to because the machine already did. But, and this is where I'm going to give these men more than they even ask for. Let me show you exactly where their frustration comes from because they're not imagining it. Let me present this to you in a different way so maybe it lands better. Look at where the most of these painful stories live. Look at those areas. It is low, below the middle class line, and often far below it. Well over half this country is poor or low income. And I'm going to say the plain thing. I've said this in the day 7 video and in day 12 as well. So let me emphasize this so you get the picture as clear as day and as hot as the burning sun. If you marry into that bottom rung, again, I inverted it so it's very easy to see from top to bottom. If you marry into that bottom rung, you will be seen as the padrino, not because they're bad people, because when money is scarce and yours is visible, that is simply what money becomes down there. You can't protest how the system got built for 330 some years all you want. It won't change what happens on a Tuesday. Yeah? And gentlemen, hear me. This is not a Philippines problem. This is a poverty problem. Marry a poor single mother in America, marry someone from a hard up family from any other country on earth, and the same gravity pulls on you, the same outstretched hand. Now, this part, I really want the Western men, especially Americans, to think hard about because I understand your frustration more than you think. Back home, you already are the safety net. Section 8 housing, food assistance, Medicaid, every payday, a slice of your check goes to keep a poor single kid fed and housed. Because as a society, you decided you don't want children going hungry, and that is a good thing. But you never see the hand. The government takes it before the money ever hits your account, right? So you come here and it's the exact same dynamic. You being the safety net for someone whose country has none, except now the hand is right there at the dinner table asking you to your face. And now let's flip it. If our government handed her free housing, free food, free health care, do you think she'd even be looking your way? Probably not. Her needs would already have been met. She might not date you at all. So think about what that actually means. She isn't with a provider because Filipinas are gold diggers. She's with a provider because there's no state to catch her. And a steady, decent man genuinely is security here, regardless of his age. That's the same reason that single mom back home leans on welfare. It was never that she's less than, it's that the safety net is missing and you're standing where the safety net should be. So this isn't a scam, it's economics, plain and open. She's getting security, you're getting a real partner if you treat her well. Two grown people, each bringing what the other needs. And there's no shame in either half of that. As long as nobody's lying about it and you drew clear rules of engagement at the very start. Now, men, don't get comfortable because your side has a mirror too, and it's a sharp one. A fellow Filipino creator, Philippines expat insider, put it bluntly this week. And he's right. If you came here to play, you don't get to cry about being hunted. He called it plain and simple. The expat in his 60s still running around like a player. That's a DOM, a dirty old man. Everybody can see it but him. And here's the cold math of it. The man who comes here to fool around is the easiest mark in the room. Play games and you're the one who ends up fooled and soon parted from your money. And that one's on you. Come as a serious man looking for a serious partner, and most of this whole mess evaporates. All right, so what's the fix? I already gave it to you. If you can't hold a boundary, go higher up the ladder. A woman whose family isn't in survival mode, and many of them exist, about half the population. But I won't sell you the flattering half, yeah? We've already established that. Because there's a catch, and it's a big one. The higher you climb, the smaller your pool gets. Because most of those women are perfectly content to marry a good local man who earns what they earn and shares their world. She is not sitting there waiting to be rescued. Unless a local broke her heart or her values just never lined up with a local boy's, she's not likely looking your way at all. Because here's how it actually works. Our hypergamy runs outward toward the west. It doesn't climb the ladder inside our caste system because that system is built to keep the rungs apart. And one piece of plain practical advice while I'm here. If you don't want the outstretched hand, Don't plant yourself in a low income barangay where everyone can see your money. Live in a middle class area where people mind their own business. Those are the healthier communities to join anyway. So there it is, honest and whole. The bottom rung comes with the whole family. The top rung comes with the smallest odds and the least need for you. There's no free lunch on this ladder. There's only choosing which trade you can live with, eyes wide open. And man, that's the whole trap in one sentence. You want the gratitude of the bottom without the bill, or the calm of the top without the competition. Pick a lane or a field, whatever you want to call it. Bring your best self and stop hunting for the version of this where you keep the upside and skip the trade. And before I close, one comment that wasn't a complaint at all, but it was a gift. Ken pointed out something I missed on yesterday's episode. He said, just as the Western man must merge into her we, the Filipina must merge into his I if it's going to work. Every vlog tells the man to change, nobody tells her. You know what? He's so right. Every vlog out here tells the Western man how to adjust to her we, and nobody tells her she has to learn and navigate his I. That's the missing half of my thesis yesterday. And that right there is exactly why I'm changing how I do this. Ken didn't give me a comment to answer, he gave me an episode. So from now on, that's the rule. The routine back and forth I'll handle in the pinned comment. But when one of you raises something worth a real topic, it's going to get its own episode. Thanks for that one, Ken. And I want to end on the thing underneath all of this, the thing that critics keep calling a sickness, that I want you to see as something else entirely. You've all seen the war movies, right? The ones where the whole platoon could get out, but they will not leave one man behind, dead or alive. A few examples: Forrest Gump saving many lives just because he refused to leave Baba behind. Lieutenant Colonel Hal Moore in We Were Soldiers. Dead or alive, we will all come home together. And every one of you feels that in your chest when you watch it. I still cry when I watch those two scenes, to be honest. You call it honor, you call it brotherhood, you call a man a coward for doing the opposite. A veteran who goes by listener put it perfectly this week. In the military, there's a massive we. You go into battle together and come home together. When members are discharged, that we disconnects and too many have self-eliminated. What the lonely need most is to rebuild that we. Quick word, if any of that is sitting heavy on you right now, the numbers are in the description and pinned at the top. You don't have to be in a crisis to use them. Now hear me. That no man left behind, that's the exact same thing that runs in the heart of a responsible Filipino kid. Same wiring. When I saw my parents struggling, when I saw they couldn't give me the good life no matter how hard they tried, something in me decided, if they can't do it, then I will. I finished high school on a scholarship, made 3,000 pesos a month when I first started working. Years later, somewhere in my 30s, it hardened into a vow. If they couldn't give me a good life, I'd spend mine making sure they get one before they go. They couldn't do it for me, so why not me for them? That is not Stockholm Syndrome, gentlemen. That's no man left behind. It's the same brotherhood you stand up and salute in a movie theater. We just don't do it in a uniform. We do it for the people who raised us. That's the kind of bond we form through shared hardship and sacrifice. You call yours honor. Don't call ours a sickness. Many of us don't see it that way. We are perfectly happy caring for our elders, our parents. To many of us, that's one of the things that give deep meaning to our lives. I can write a 5-page essay about this whole thing, but it wouldn't make a difference to how you see things. So let's just respectfully agree to disagree, yes? So that's the last of the weekly comments as a segment. From here, the small stuff goes to the pins and the big stuff becomes a real episode. Thank you for the brutal truths and the kind ones. I read every single one of them. So yes, much appreciated. In the next few days, I take a break because my apartment is now looking like it's in a zombie apocalypse and my fridge is looking desolate. It's also a nice breather before we start a new mini series. We are going to start looking deep into the woman you are considering a relationship with. Well, that is if you're still willing to explore one after all the hard truths you've uncovered since day 12, yeah? Well, enjoy your weekend, everyone, and see you very soon. Bye! Guys, let me take you on a quick walking tour. I mean, it's not like you haven't seen this already, but yeah, I'm finally able to use my gimbal, but I'm careful not to walk too far because there are too many sharp pebbles and sometimes broken glasses. And so if I do use my gimbal to just talk, then I'll just try to like circle around one place. Hello, doggy. How are you, baby girl? Oop, she's a little afraid. Okay, bye. Okay, there's some kids looking for something. I don't want to come close in. Yeah, I don't want to have them in camera. So anyway, I shouldn't bore you too much with this, but this shoreline here, it changes a lot. It depends on the waves that come in during the night. So sometimes this gets closed off, and then sometimes it looks like super high around here, like this one looks like there's a little cliff of sand over here. Sometimes it's so flat, but yeah,